मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि लोग किसके साथ शादी करनी है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, कौन सी गाड़ी खरीदनी है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, कौन सा घर खरीदना है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, पर लोग इसके बारे में सोचते नहीं है कि उन्हें अपने करियर में क्या करना है. बीइंग अ सैलरीड प्रोफेशनल you can only make X kind of money. Correct. Every year you will only grow 20%, 30%, 50% max. Whereas if you own equity in your own company, you can potentially give yourself a chance to make millions of dollars. Since you're talking about investments, right? I think the most important investment you can do in your life is in yourself. Saving, investing, insurance. I think these are some of the important things that to figure out early in your 20s, and that will give you a lot of breathing room later on in life. I also tried my hand at F&O trading and lost a lot of money. Okay. I would not recommend that to anybody. I think it's a zero-sum game.
So Ankit, thank you so much for doing this for us and welcome to our show #मेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी. और जैसा कि आपको हमारे शो का फॉर्मेट पता ही है, we'll ask you like 4-5 questions and then we'll ended up playing a quick rapid fire round. So I hope you are excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So starting with your background first, how did this idea of starting Inside IIM came to your mind? And कहीं ना कहीं से हमें पता चला है कि आपने अपने हॉस्टल के कमरे में ही डोमेन वो insideiim.com बाय कर लिया था. So how did this idea came?
So, since you're talking about investments, right? I think the most important investment you can do in your life is in yourself, right? And मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि लोग किसके साथ शादी करनी है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, कौन सी गाड़ी खरीदनी है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, कौन सा घर खरीदना है उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, पर लोग इसके बारे में सोचते नहीं है कि उन्हें अपने करियर में क्या करना है. What you do with your life is the single biggest decider of the quality of your life. Correct. For the next 40 years of your life, right? And that's essentially what we want to bridge in India, which is that people are able to make better career decisions and hence are able to make better decisions about the quality of their life. So InsideIIM.com was a hobby. I was in my hostel room and I said that there has to be content that educates people about various careers. Because I was from an IIM, so I thought I'll start with the management education domain. And so you should understand what are the kind of careers that are there in finance, in marketing, in supply chain operations, etc. We put out a lot of information about placements and what kind of salaries you can get, etc. And hence it started as a hobby, and then people started liking it. A lot of the content went viral. And then I thought after a year, I mean, I was working at Bank of America at that point of time, and just every weekend was a new dopamine hit. And I felt like, okay, it's time to maybe go full time into this. So yeah, and I just started doing that full time from about 10 years now. And again, the understanding was that being a salaried professional, you can only make X kind of money. Correct. Every year you will only grow 20%, 30%, 50% max. Whereas if you own equity in your own company, you can potentially give yourself a chance to make millions of dollars or billions of dollars if you end up being very, very big. So yeah, I mean, I think in a very convoluted way, that was also like a investment decision. But I mean, of course, education and counseling people is a passion. And I think it all fits in very well.
So you started this on your own, or was there few friends and all who were helping you doing?
No, I started it on my own. Okay. But I must give credit to a lot of people who were well-wishers who helped me quite a lot, saying that, why don't you do this? And if I would tell them that, since you are an expert in a particular field, why don't you write about this? Okay. So because I used to publish blogs originally. So there were so many of my friends who are on different campuses, people from my own campus, who were very generous in writing blogs and putting out really high quality content. And I used to pay them like 300 rupees per article 10 years back. But I mean, it was not about the money for them. It was more like, okay, कोई कुछ करना चाहता है तो उसकी मदद करते हैं.
Okay, great. So my next question to you, ये हम अपने हर guest से पूछते हैं, what was your first salary and what did you do with it? Did you spend it? Did you invest it?
So my first salary was 15,000 rupees after I graduated from my undergrad from my Bachelor of Commerce,
okay.
at Narsi Munji in Mumbai.
Okay.
And in fact, I got a job with a media consulting firm because one of our college festival sponsors, so Indian Idol was our sponsor in our college for our college festival Umang. And the marketing head there ended up starting a media consulting firm. So when I graduated from college, I just kind of gave him a call saying that, I've just graduated, I was looking for opportunities. And he said, I wanted to come over. Then we met him. Another friend of mine also joined me. And he said, okay, here's a job for you. And so that was my first job. And I got 15,000 rupees as salary. There was no negotiation, etc. I was just happy that I got a job. And the first salary that I got, I bought a book and wireless earphones for my dad because he used to talk on the phone quite a lot, and I felt that maybe that could help him. I don't think he ever ended up using it because they were poorly designed back then. And I got a mobile phone for my mom. I remember I spent 4,500 rupees on a Nokia phone for my mom. So yeah, that's what I did with my first salary. After that, I started investing money in some mutual funds in the peak of the 2007 bull run. It took me 5 years to get all my money back.
Okay, great. So, like you said, ki Inside IIM is more about career counseling, where you want to guide students what they should do with their careers. In that context only, if you had to guide those students in managing their finances, कि पहली जॉब लगने से पहले उन्हें अगर आप कोई सजेशन देना चाहें कि what should you probably do after you are placed or after you are getting good money, what would that be?
Yeah, I think the first instinct for everyone always is to buy that fancy new thing, flashy new thing as soon as you get money.
Okay.
And my recommendation to people always is that save money. It's not that you should not spend money, but don't start with spending money and getting used to a lifestyle that is not sustainable in the long run. So broadly, my rule is that at all points of time, at least 35% of whatever money comes in should be saved. Now, what you do with that saving, whether you invest it in equity markets, whether you invest it in mutual funds, which are a mix of debt and equity, all those decisions you can take later on. But definitely saving itself, I think, is a one big thing, because I've been hiring people now for 10 years. I have a team of more than 70 people. And a lot of people in early 20s, even in my own organization, I've realized, are spending more money than they should. They get used to credit. And while India has been credit starved, and I'm very happy that a lot of people are getting credit, but I think taking loans to build an asset or invest in yourself is one thing. But taking loans to consume very early in your life is not a great decision. And I think a lot of people do that. So that shouldn't be done. So one is clearly save money. The other is ensure that your insurance is taken care of. Take care of your parents' insurance. If you are going to get married soon, ensure that everything around your spouse collectively, you have those kind of things figured out. See, these are boring things, but the thing is that you have to do it once at least.
Correct.
And the benefit of saving and investing in the 20s will ensure that your 30s are stress-free. Or let me not put it stress-free, but you will be in a far more comfortable position as compared to others. I mean, I have friends who were smart enough to, buy insurances very early in their life, and hence the kind of premiums that they have paid collectively over the last 10 years is far lower than people who woke up very late in life and said that, okay, now I think I need to also get an insurance, right? And the delta is huge when it happens over a 10-year period. So I would say that at 21, some of these things need to be figured out. Insurance, some kind of a systematic investment plan should be done, because you will never be able to be as smart as saying that, okay, I will invest money on my own, pick stocks on my own, etc. You may, but you may also not be. You may also not have the time. You might be in a completely different profession, right? So you need to give your money to experts and let them figure it out. You could even put money in passive funds, if you want to just, hope you believe in the India story and the index going to go up, etc. You can do that as well. But yeah, saving, investing, insurance, I think these are some of the important things that to figure out early in your 20s, and that will give you a lot of breathing room later on in life.
ग्रेट. तो मतलब लग रहा है कि आपने काफी सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स की हैं अपनी
नहीं,
लाइफ
मैंने
में.
बहुत सारी गलतियां की है, इसलिए मैं बता रहा हूँ ये सब.
तो वही से मेरा दूसरा सवाल आता है, मेरा नेक्स्ट सवाल आता है कि हाउ अबाउट योर इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी, कि आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टोरी कहाँ से शुरू हुई, व्हिच वाज द फर्स्ट फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट यू इन्वेस्टेड इन, डिड यू डू इट ऑन योर ओन या आपने किसी से एडवाइस लिया?
So I invested in mutual funds because I'm talking about 2007, 2008 when mutual funds were just becoming popular in India. And I had a friend who was a mutual fund agent. And my dad also said, my dad was actually quite heavily connected to the stock market. He was a broker. So he said that, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. You should do that. So my first financial instrument actually was SIPs, even before I invested money in FDs.
Okay.
In hindsight, I entered exactly at the peak of the bull market in 2007. So from 2007 to 2011, my mutual fund portfolio was negative. It took me 4.5 years to get that money back. I also started investing in stocks after I started making some money. And obviously, when you are young, you feel that you are very smart, and you everybody else will lose money, but I will not lose money. That's how you start off with, right? So I remember looking at certain websites online and looking at which are the stocks that are at a 52-week low. And I would say, अच्छा ये तो 52-week low पे है, तो अभी तो यहाँ से ऊपर ही जाएगा. So I ended up buying a lot of stocks that never went beyond their 52-week lows.
Okay.
And I lost a lot of money because, see, it's like the most rookie mistake that you make is, look at stocks which have really fallen, which are available in single digit. So you are like, I can buy a lot of shares, and if
penny
it goes
stocks
up,
कहते हैं उन्हें.
Yeah, so penny stocks, some of them are actually not penny stocks necessarily. They are actually historically very good companies also. But it's just that they had fallen so much that it will probably take 10-15 years for that price to come back again, even if that company revives itself and comes out of it. So, I mean, in your 20s, TK, you can afford to make some of these mistakes, but so I made a lot of these mistakes. I felt like, why should I invest in blue chip companies? Because how much return can they give me anyway, right? But in hindsight, if you think about it, if you had put money in some of the best known companies, like say Hindustan Unilever or Reliance Industries, or ICICI Bank, right? Like these are companies, if you had put money in, you would have thought that these are large caps and hence will not give you that much return. But I think over a 8 to 10 year period, the amount of money that these companies have made for people is more than in a relatively safe way. You know that Reliance Industries, you're never going to that stock is never going to go to zero, or you're never going to lose like 70% of your money on a stock like Reliance Industries, right? So is it better, as somebody who's not into the stock market, I am not an expert, right? Isn't it safer for me, or it would have been safer for me to have invested in some of these large cap blue chip companies which are well known brands, as compared to chasing 52-week low companies, which I did not understand business enough, I did not understand. So I think those are among the big mistakes that I made early on in my investment journey. In hindsight, I feel like preventing errors is more rewarding in the stock market as compared to finding that amazing idea which is going to give you 1000x returns, etc. I think there are expert investors who can do that, but I don't spend most of my time tracking the markets. I spend time trying to build my own business. And the way I think about it is that I'm going to get 1000x return on the equity I own in my own company. So maybe it is better for any professional or even an entrepreneur, whose risk is so heavily in their own business, to use that money, to put that money in instruments which are going to give you great returns, not necessarily the best returns. But why do you need the best returns when you can do a pretty good job anyway? So yeah, the one other thing I learned is the importance of interest rates. I remember when the taper tantrum began in 2013 and interest rates started going up.
Okay.
I actually have booked FDs in 2015 at 9.5% and 10% interest rates.
Okay.
In a lot of the marquee banks. I'm not talking about putting money in cooperative banks or PSU banks, right? A lot of marquee banks like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank at that time were giving you FD rates of 9.5%, 10%. So again, I think that was probably among the smarter decisions I made, because in that period, a lot of people probably lost money when I did not make a lot of money, but I did not lose money at least, and I got a pretty good return given the context of how the situation was then. So yeah, that's been my journey. One other thing I would tell people is that I also tried my hand at F&O trading and lost a lot of money.
Okay.
I would not recommend that to anybody. I think it's a zero-sum game. It's not an investment decision. It is in some ways gambling. People don't like to hear that. Of course, there is skill involved, but that doesn't make it any less of a gamble, right? Because if you're investing in a company, you are trying to build the long-term prospects of that company. It adds value to the shareholders, to the society, to consumers. Whereas whatever you do in F&O trading is essentially, if there are 100 people in a room, some people are going to end up giving their wealth to, some small part of the people in the same room. And that does not necessarily add any value to the larger society, economy. Maybe it provides some taxation to the government. They are essentially taxing your gambling problem, essentially. So I would definitely recommend that unless you are an expert and you are using it for hedging purposes, do not fall into the trap of F&O either. I mean, I've done that, so I'm saying from experience.
It's said that if you want to be in F&O, if you have to be a full-time trader, like for example, you have to invest a lot of time in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even if you do that, F&O is never going to help you make wealth.
Okay.
It can only help you make income.
Correct.
In a larger, there will probably be less than 1% of the traders across the world who would have made wealth from F&O.
Correct.
Maybe 1% also is over exaggerating, because eventually at some point of time you will also give back whatever gains you get there. Whereas, imagine if you had just invested money in companies like Infosys, MRF, Reliance, in the 90s, and you would have multiplied your wealth multiple X.
Correct.
Which F&O will never be able to give you.
Correct.
Even if you did F&O for all the 20 years.
Right. So that was really great. But one thing that I would like to know is which you think is the best financial instrument according to you, which people should actually invest in.
I don't know. I don't think that there is an answer like that.
Okay.
Because it changes with time. There was a time when people used to invest in gold, and it consistently gave people returns.
Correct.
Right. There was a time when interest rates used to be very high, and a lot of people preferred the risk-free, debt instruments. Today, it seems like given how good the markets have been, everybody will say that equity is the way to go.
Correct.
Of course, in the larger scheme of things, I think over 25 years, no other instrument has made as much money as equity.
Equity.
That's what evidence tells us. But again, as they say in all, mutual fund ads, past performance is no guarantee of future returns. So,
Correct.
I am bullish on India, and I'm quite sure that we will always end up doing well, and hence my own allocation towards blue chip equity companies in India is still very high.
Okay.
But I don't think we should fall into the trap of saying that there is any one best financial instrument, because I think the world is super dynamic, it keeps changing all the time, and you should be having an open mind and make changes whenever you need to, because I've learned it the hard way. Finance is not a science. It's an art.
It's an art.
And hence you should not have any strict rules about this is the best instrument, this is the worst instrument. Never have that.
Okay, great. So moving on to our last question, and then we'll play the rapid fire round. What is that one story which has inspired you the most from your own community?
There aren't just one story. There are many stories, because we have now counseled over the years more than 5 lakh people.
Okay.
Every year we have about 3 million unique users who visit our platforms. There are more than 1 million people who watch our videos every month. So there are a lot of people who are benefiting from it. Every single day we get emails, etc. from people. But I think the ones that have made the most impact for us are people who made that one decision that has led to abnormal returns in their career, right?
Okay.
Like something that they read that we had written, they made a switch in their career and are today doing far better. So I'll give you some examples, right? Like very recently, we have an upskilling platform called Alt-Uni by Inside IIM.
Alt-Uni.
Yeah, Alt-Uni by Inside IIM, where we upskill people in various digital ready skills. And there are people who've gotten jobs after 2 years after doing a program with us, because we typically have a partnership with the company whenever we do this. So there was a lady who was struggling to find a job for 2 years. She was from the COVID batch, did lots of free work, etc. But we actually helped her get her first job, which she loves. We have another person who's gotten a 92% hike in his salary after doing a program with us.
92%.
92% hike. Works in a company that his father always dreamed he wanted to work in.
Okay.
And he couldn't, but his son has been able to do that. So these are like recent examples. There are people who gotten married because they met on the community to each other. So we've had a lot of these kind of stories, but I think the larger message I would want to leave anybody with is that invest your money, but the most important investment that you do is investment in yourself. And hence you should constantly learn, keep upskilling yourself, because every 2 years the industry keeps changing. So you need to ensure that if you are putting in money, it's not very different from putting money in a gym. You put money in a gym because you want to be fit and you want to enhance the quality of your life in the future. Similarly, you have to also invest in your mind and your ability to learn, because that will ensure that you will keep earning. See, you need to have a second career, you need to have a third career, because careers themselves keep changing. People might get fired, you might not always end up becoming CEO, CFO of your company. So you will have to find other ways to generate income, right? And hence adding more and more skills to your profile is extremely important. So I would say that invest in yourself, and there is no bigger and better investment than that.
Great. So thank you so much, Ankit, for answering all our questions, and I've learned so much from you today. और प्लस एक बात बहुत क्लियर हो गई आज मुझे, और मेरे हिसाब से हमारे सारे व्यूअर्स को भी हो जाएगी, कि इन्वेस्ट इन योरसेल्फ, एंड डेफिनेटली इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट investing short term, you should always focus about investing long
In the
term.
long run. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll just start playing our rapid fire round with you, जिसको हम बोलते हैं wealthy fun o'clock. So let's start our rapid fire round, and my first question to you is, what do you wish you learned sooner?
The ability to understand how large a market is.
Great. What was the place you were sitting at when you first thought to start Inside IIM?
On my campus, probably somewhere in my mess and between my mess and my room, the thought was just brewing in my head. So yeah, I would say on my campus.
Okay. Would you rather choose brand growth or profitability?
I would choose profitability, but it is not possible to have profitability if your brand does not grow. So in a way, both are connected.
Great. What would you rather, see the future or change the past?
See the future.
See the future. Great. If you could meet someone from history, who would you like to meet?
There are two people.
Okay.
One is Chandragupta Maurya from the Mauryan Empire times, and the other is Karl Marx.
Would you like to tell why?
Yeah, so I think the Mauryan Empire had a massive influence on India. At that particular point of time in history, when India was supposed to be what we wish India could be today, right?
Correct.
And I would feel it will be incredibly illuminating to get into the head of somebody who was ruling such a large piece of land, which was amongst the most advanced civilizations back then. And Karl Marx, because I think the entire understanding of land, labor, capital. See, I mean, we are all living in a capitalist world. So obviously we know this side of the story. I think there are a lot of followers of Karl Marx, and to have that kind of a following and to have built a thesis of that sort. What was he thinking, and what is the other side of the story, what could have been? Because we see what the capitalist world is. What was the alternate side that could have been if that had, say, become more popular in the world? So I find that quite fascinating as well.
Great. So thank you so much, Ankit, for doing this for us once again, and I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.